order. Let the record reflect it's Thursday, January 21st, 2021 at 7 p.m. As a preliminary matter, this is Commission Chairman Garrett Gray speaking. Before we get started, I would ask that anyone joining us remotely please be patient and respectful as we navigate this meeting remotely. I would appreciate it if you mute your phones. Thank you. For those wishing to follow along with the PowerPoint, you are encouraged to access the meeting through Tinley Park Television on YouTube, which is streaming right now. It is my understanding that all members and staff present have checked in on the conference line, and we can begin our meeting. Please note throughout the meeting we expect to have other individuals joining us via phone call pertaining to specific agenda items. Again, thank you in advance for your patience and cooperation throughout tonight's Zone Plan Commission meeting, which is convening remotely via conference call. This Plan Commission meeting is being conducted pursuant to Governor Pritzker's Disaster Proclamation and Public Act 101-0640, which amends requirements of the Open Meetings Act due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Open Meetings Act, OMA, requires public bodies to allow for public comment. Therefore, this meeting will include public comment via the established protocol. Even if members of the public do not provide comments, participants are advised that people may be listening who do not provide comment, and those persons are not required to identify themselves. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by web or audio conference. Let's go over some of the ground rules. We are getting used to working and meeting remotely, and so I will just briefly talk about the protocols. Just remember to wait until I address you, and please keep your phones muted when not speaking. But when you do speak, please identify yourself, and then you can speak. Thank you. Commission Secretary, please call the roll at this time.
Engel.
Here.
Manny.
Here.
Gatto. West. Gaskell.
Here.
Aitchison.
Here.
Vic. Lasciuto.
Here.
Chairman Gray.
Here. Okay. Staff, this is Chairman Gray speaking. Staff, are there any communications for the Commission at this time?
There is not.
Okay. This is Chairman Gray. Let us now begin with the approval of the minutes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the January 7th, 2021 meeting?
This is Commissioner Aitchison. So moved.
Commissioner Gaskell,
Engel, second that motion.
Oh, I didn't see that on there. I'm
This is
sorry.
Chairman Gray. Motion made by Commissioner Aitchison, seconded by Commissioner Engel. I will ask for a voice vote. Are there any opposed to this motion? Okay. Hearing none, the motion is carried. We'll move to our first item. The first item on the agenda is a workshop and public hearing to consider recommending that the Village Board grant Leonard McHenry on behalf of Lenny's Food and Fuel at 183rd Street LLC, the property owner, a special use permit for a substantial deviation with exceptions from the zoning ordinance for drive-through signage at the property located at 7451 183rd Street in the ORI PUD Office and Restricted Industrial North Creek Business Park PUD zoning district. The request allows for additional drive-through signage for the Do Right Donuts and Chicken tenant space. We will start the workshop portion of this item. Staff, at this time, please start your presentation.
Thanks, Chairman. This is Dan Redder. This is a fairly simple request. It really just comes down to adding an additional sign out here that isn't permitted by our zoning code. So we obviously combine the workshop and public hearing here because there's not much to kind of pre-discuss and work through. So we have a combined workshop public hearing on this. So this has to do with Do Right Donuts, which is located in the new gas and wash building that opened in mid-December 2020. So even within the last month, it's opened up out there. If you've been out there or if you read the staff report, you'd notice that the sign is already up out there. And obviously, that's not typically how we like to do these. The project moved fairly quickly, and we like to see that from the point where they got approval to the construction time frame. I want to say they probably set a record for the last, at least since I've been here, in terms of like coming in for approval to construction. And in that time, they had a change in the tenant that was going to be in there. Originally, they were thinking Dunkin' Donuts, and then a second food vendor. But then they got Do Right Donuts and Chicken, which fit their kind of brand. They have a unique restaurant tenant in there that also used the drive-through. So both a breakfast, coffee, and kind of a lunch place all in one. So that kind of happened towards the end of the construction process. So I think there was a lot of movement here, and the sign company has been honest and said they missed a couple of the signs in the permit. So they resolved the issues with the majority of them, such as the directional signs having logos on them. So they revised those and fixed them before they ever even opened out there. But there is the remaining kind of issue here, which just relates to the second menu board sign. If you want to go to the next slide. This is just a picture of the Do Right Donuts site out there. If you haven't been out there, highly recommend it. Good chicken, good donuts, pretty big donuts, and good chicken tenders, chicken sandwiches, and my favorite is the pork sandwiches. So there's my plug for them in this meeting. If you want to go to the next slide. Most of you, I think, were on the board as this went through the commission, but there might be one or two of you that haven't. And this went, so it was 3 vacant sites out here. They originally came in to do the gas and wash site just to the north of Hamada and along 183rd Street across from the old mental health center. It is a PUD, it's known ORI PUD, and we had amended that to allow for the restaurant, the gas station, and the convenience store to be permitted there. After they kind of got going on that, then they decided to move forward and add a car wash to the south of it on West Creek Drive. So they came back in and got approval for that as well. And typically that is when most of these signage requests would come in, and they did have a couple requests in there, but they obviously had Dunkin' Donuts, which had a different vision than kind of what Do Right Donuts had wanted to do with their signage and their drive-through signage out there. So this location opened, the convenience store and the Do Right Donuts opened on December 18th, 2020, and the car wash portion is already under construction out there and should open in spring 2021, so in a few months. Go ahead and go to the next slide. And that just kind of shows you the layout of the area out there in the North Creek Business Park planned unit development. So there's the gas station C-store site that's already constructed. Then to the south, the car wash, the car wash site, and then Hamada to the east, and then to the southeast is a future site for a Holiday Inn hotel that was approved last year as well. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So the remaining issue we have here is it basically comes down to the menu board signage. We do allow a menu board accessory to a drive-through use. So if it's an approved drive-through that goes through a site plan approval process as we require for them, they're allowed one of these signs that can be up to a maximum of 7 feet tall and up to 45 square feet in size. So they use that for their kind of primary menu board, and then there's this kind of second preview menu board that's slightly to the west right before you get there. This is feet in height and 11.25 square feet. So that is what the request is for that sign. And the request would limit them to what they're showing you here. So it's for a second menu board, but it will be limited to what they're proposing, which is 6 feet in height and 11.25 square feet. So they can't come back in and ask, well, we actually want to change that to 45 square feet. It'll be what they're proposing here. For preview menu board signs, we've approved these in the past in town. So both McDonald's have them approved. The one on Harlem is already done, constructed with the dual drive-through lane. And then they plan on doing the one on 159th Street. That site plan was approved, but they haven't moved forward with the work yet. They're also at Wendy's, Steak and Shake, Panera Bread, and Burger King that we've approved these at. So they have been approved in town before. I'll say it's probably something we'll look at when we revisit signs again to maybe allow this by right when something gets approved, whether by variation or just planned unit development approvals or whatever it might be. We usually look to that as a sign of maybe this is something we can visit to just allow it by right. So we may look into that, but for right now, we're kind of stuck with the code as it is. So they've come forward with this PUD approval. And again, this is for the new people on the board. It's kind of odd. It's similar to a variation, but if it's in a PUD or a planned unit development, it's called basically a substantial deviation or an exception from the zoning ordinance. So it doesn't follow the same typical standards as a variation. It more follows special use standards. And the point I got is to really look at it in terms of the planned unit development and not the village as a whole. So kind of how does it fit within the context of that PUD? So it's a little different. At the same sense, I'll still say you kind of got to look at it as a village as a whole. Is this something you want in the village? But it doesn't need to meet those same standards as a variation typically would. So if you're going to go to the next slide, that's just an image of the sign and then a picture of the current setup. They currently use the sign to actually show what donuts they have available. So their kind of purpose of it is it actually helps expedite the ordering process, right? So somebody that's waiting in line behind that car that's at the ordering screen can see what donuts they want. They don't have to repeat that throughout the ordering process up at the speaker. So helps expedite it a little bit. Some other businesses use it more for like specials, advertising specials, or their rotating menu options. But they use it here to kind of show all the donuts they have. That's it for the staff report, so I'll hand it back to you, Chairman.
Okay, this is Chairman Gray. Thanks, Dan. Good presentation. At this time, I will receive comments from the commissioners, making sure we discuss any open items, beginning with Commissioner Engel.
I've got no comment.
Okay, Commissioner Gaskell.
No comment.
Okay, Commissioner Aitchison.
None at this time.
Commissioner Manny. Commissioner Manny. We'll come back to Commissioner Manny. Commissioner Lasciuto.
I'm sorry, I was on mute.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Proceed, Commissioner Manny.
Yeah, this is a question for staff. Did you indicate that the bold signages for the drive-through were installed? Well, at least, okay, you know what? Based on the picture, they were installed, but had they been installed, so this is the first time we're seeing this signage permit. Should have the signage been installed? That's my question.
Yeah, it was installed in error on their part, and the sign company has been upfront about that they, this was a mistake on their part. They thought they had a permit for it, and then in context of reviews, I've kind of we usually recommend you view this as basically don't make a decision based on whether it was installed or not already. Basically, whatever your decision should be the same, whether it's already up or if they were proposing it. Just from kind of a legal standpoint, that's usually how you want to view these. There's no other issues out there, though. There was a couple, and they resolved them already, so this is kind of the remaining one. But yes, they're aware this was installed kind of incorrectly. We're doing it a little backwards.
Right. So what were the other issues you said that were resolved?
They did have directional signs that had like logos on them, which we don't permit. So they flipped out all the sign faces of those even before I think they opened when we first caught it. And then the header on the main menu board was too large, and then they resolved that as well, and they have the new one that's up there. So we're basically left with this one menu board left that was installed without a permit, isn't permitted. So that's why they're
right. And then when you guys were resolving the directional signage and then the menu board signage, were these signages already installed or not?
Yes. Yeah, they had installed them without a permit. Just, I think, through the kind of how quick they were building out there and how quick Do Right Donuts came in, were building out, had their own signage that Duncan wasn't. The sign company had missed it and already installed all those signs. So.
Okay. That's my only comment.
Okay,
But
thanks,
our
Commissioner
recommendation
Manning.
is always look at it as if it wasn't done. We usually do that with this will happen occasionally with like fences or something too, and really the goal should be try and look at it neither positively or negatively that it's already there. Try and look at it as if it's not. But I know that can be difficult. So.
No, right. I mean, there is a procedure, there's protocol. So,
Absolutely.
Yep. So, my final comment is that everyone should be following protocol. That's just it.
Correct. Yep. And we do have penalties for it on the permit side. So normally, sometimes people install stuff without a permit. If it meets all the codes, we can just permit it. But they do get doubled. Basically, the fees are doubled on anything that somebody doesn't get a permit for.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Lasciuto, any comments?
No comment.
Okay. This is Chairman Gray. My only comments are something staff said. Dan mentioned, you mentioned revisiting some of the sign ordinance because if this really is, at the McDonald's, like you said, and the BKs and the Wendy's and the Steak and Shakes and whatnot, it obviously is something that, since it's been approved before as either an exception or a variation, perhaps we have to look at this as a normal standard sign. And it sounds like you got the 45 square foot. This is much, much less than that. But to Commissioner Manning's point, everyone should follow protocol, and perhaps we just need to revisit, the verbiage on the signs and update that. But with that said, those are my comments. And do we have the petitioner on the line at this time? If so, would you like to add anything at this point before we proceed to the public hearing? And if so, please announce your name before you speak.
This is Sam Van Bruggen from Van Bruggen Signs.
Okay.
And I don't think I don't know that I need to add anything else. I think that Dan's report was, summarized it very well. This pre-sale board did come in late in the game and was kind of a last-minute addition, and we did overlook it when we were submitting for permits. And no, that shouldn't be the way it goes. So we do apologize for that.
Okay, well, thank you, Sam. We appreciate your comments. So at this time, may I have a motion to open the public hearing?
This is Commissioner
if
Manning,
you
so
could-
moved.
Commissioner Gass will second the motion.
Okay, this is Chairman Gray. Motion made by Commissioner Manny, seconded by Commissioner Gaskell. I will ask for a voice vote. Are there any opposed to this motion? Okay, hearing none, the motion is carried. Before we proceed, though, I would like to note that I do have confirmation of the public hearing notice for tonight's public hearing being published in the local newspaper as required by state law. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter in the public hearing will be sworn in before they speak after the staff's presentation. So, staff, please proceed with your presentation.
We have nothing else really to add here compared to what was presented as part of the workshop.
Okay. This is Chairman Gray. So, seeing there's no further presentation, I'm going to go back to our commissioners to see if they have any further comments or discussion for staff on this matter. Beginning with Commissioner Lasciuto.
Nothing further.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Manny.
No comment.
Commissioner Aitchison.
Nothing further.
Okay, Commissioner Gaskell.
Nothing from me.
Okay, Commissioner Engel.
Nothing from me either.
Okay. At this time, if the petitioner is on the line, if you want anything else to add, if so, we'll swear you in, but if not, then we'll just proceed. So if I don't hear Sam or whoever else is on the line chime in, I will move on. Okay, hearing none, I'm going to ask staff, is there anyone from the public other than the petitioner's team wishing to comment on this item?
There's no one here, no.
Okay. Okay, recognizing that there is not, I will again ask our commissioners to speak up if there's any further discussion on this matter. Okay, hearing none, I'm recognizing that there is no further discussion. So at this time, since there's no further discussion or questions, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
This is Commissioner Lasciuto. So moved.
This is Commissioner Aitchison. I second that motion.
This is Chairman Gray. Motion made by Commissioner Lasciuto, seconded by Commissioner Aitchison. I will ask for a voice vote. Are there any opposed to this motion? Hearing none, the motion is carried. Staff, at this time, could you please review the standards for a variation?
Sure. I'll just do a quick summary of them all, and that's essentially that this is an existing site previously approved and constructed, and this really has to relate just with an additional sign that's minimal in size, minimal in visibility, helps expedite the menu and ordering process that's out there, and should help the business affect customer satisfaction and wait times through their drive-through. So that's pretty much it for the standards. Them in total are in your staff report as well as on the PowerPoint.
Okay. This is Chairman Gray. Thanks, Dan. At this time, may I have a motion on the proposed special use?
This is Commissioner Engel. I'd like to make a motion to recommend the village board grant the petitioner a special use permit for a substantial deviation from the North Creek Business Park PUD with an exception from the zoning ordinance for a second menu board accessory to a drive-through that is 6 feet tall, 11.25 square feet in size at 7451 183rd Street in the ORI PD zoning district in accordance with the plan submitted and listed herein and adopt findings of fact as proposed by village staff in the January 22nd, 2021 staff report.
Do I hear a second?
Commissioner Manning, I second that motion.
It was the January
Okay, this is
21st staff report.
Oh, let's amend that. So let that motion made by Commissioner Engel read to say, as proposed by the January
21st.
21st, 2021 staff report. Okay. So motion made by Commissioner Engel.
This is Commissioner Manning, I second that motion.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Engel, seconded by Commissioner Manny. Secretary may have a roll call.
Lushuto,
Yes.
Aitchison,
Yes.
Gaskell,
Yes.
Manny,
No.
Engel,
Yes.
Chairman Gray.
Yes. Okay, the motion is carried. This item will go to the village board for approval, or first. It actually will go to the village board for first reading, since there was a no vote at the Tuesday, February 2nd, 2021 meeting. And so at this time, Sam, if you can get in contact with staff on how you can attend the meeting, either via phone or in person, and they'll see you there at the February 2nd, 2021 meeting, village board meeting.
February
we'll
2nd.
follow up. Yes, February 2nd would be the board meeting it'll go to, and I can follow up with you via email and phone call tomorrow or next week.
Okay, thank you.
Talk about that. Yep.
Okay, thank you for your time, Sam. We appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to item number 2. Again, this is Chairman Gray. The second item on the agenda is a public hearing zoning map update to consider recommending that the village board adopt the village's official zoning map reflecting map amendments through December 31st, 2020. This request does not include any rezoning or other changes to specific properties. New map only reflects zoning changes or corrections made in the previous year. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Commissioner Gaskell, I make the motion.
Do I hear a second?
This is Commissioner Lushuto. I second that motion.
Okay, this is Chairman Gray. Motion made by Commissioner Gaskell, seconded by Commissioner Lushuto. I will ask for a voice vote. Are there any opposed to this motion? Hearing none, the motion is carried. Before we proceed, I would like to note that I do have confirmation of the public hearing notice for tonight's public hearing being published in the local newspaper as required by state law. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter will be sworn in before they speak, but after the staff's presentation. So staff, please proceed with your presentation at this time.
Thanks, Chairman. This is Dan again. And Barb, if you want to forward a little bit, you can go to the actual zoning map. So this is, every year we kind of go through this process, which is just officially adopting our annual zoning map. So we're not doing any rezonings here or any changes. It's really just kind of codifying what was done in the previous year. And so there's a state statute that basically asks for this to be done before March 31st each year. So we're well ahead of schedule. Our GIS department did a good job getting this all together for us in time. So there actually was some significant changes and additions to our zoning map this year. And so that included 3 annexations. One was a condo building on Teresa Lane. and that was rezoned R6. We had the two properties associated with Fox College's parking lot expansion, and those being rezoned into NG when they were annexed. And then we also had a property on Ridgeland Avenue that you guys didn't see because if something gets annexed and they don't rezone it, it won't typically come through the Plan Commission. It just goes straight to Village Board, and those automatically get zoned to R1. So there was one property that's off of Ridgeland and I-80 that's got a few billboards on it that we annexed into the village just to be able to control it and approve those billboards because they were looking to rezone it through the county into an industrial zoning. So that's kind of to explain the one that didn't come before the Plan Commission. There was another rezoning that took place for the 7-Eleven gas station that's going on 171st and Harlem Avenue, and that was rezoned B1. And then there was a couple corrections we had in terms of the PUDs, which since I've been here, we keep running into this issue of our old zoning map basically put a PUD on everything, whether there was a formal PUD approval or not. So we're finding as we do some research, there are certain properties that aren't formally a PUD. And so the Brementown Shopping Center is one of those, as well as the Hobby Lobby Burlington site that both are not PUDs. The shopping center that's just to the west of that was also not a PUD, but as part of that redevelopment proposed by Brixmore at Tinley Plaza there, we put that PUD back in place. So it was incorrect, but that'll stay as a PUD because we corrected it in 2020. That's it. As soon as this kind of gets through board and is approved, we can email out kind of a higher res PDF version of this for you guys if you want it for your records or to look at. Print it out, make it a poster, whatever you guys want. So I think we didn't have a motion in the staff report, but I believe there's one in the script, and it's just recommending that the village board adopt this as the formal map. So I'm here if you guys have any other questions about it.
Okay, this is Chairman Gray. Thanks, Dan, for the presentation. At this time, I'll receive comments from our commissioners, beginning with Commissioner Gaskell. Any comments?
No comment.
Commissioner Aitchison.
No comment.
Commissioner Engel.
No comment.
Commissioner Manny.
No comment.
Commissioner Oshudo.
No comment.
Okay. And I don't have any comments as well. I know it has to be routinely updated. So are there any people from the public present that want to comment, staff?
No one's here.
Okay. Recognizing that there is nobody from the public to comment, at this time, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
This is Commissioner Aitchison, so moved.
It's Commissioner Engel. Second that motion.
Okay, this is Chairman Gray. Motion made by Commissioner Aitchison, seconded by Commissioner Engel. I will ask for a voice vote. Are there any opposed to this motion? Hearing none, the motion is carried. May I have a motion to recommend approval of the 2020 zoning map?
This is Commissioner Manny, so moved.
Commissioner Gaskell, I second.
This is Chairman Gray. Motion made by Commissioner Manny, seconded by Commissioner Gaskell. Secretary, may I have a roll call?
Engel,
Yes.
Gaskell,
Yes.
Aitchison,
Yes.
Bushudo,
Yes.
Manny,
Yes.
Chairman Gray.
Yes. This is Chairman Gray. The motion is carried. Okay. We'll move on now to the good of the order. Staff, do you have any comments for the good of the order?
Not too much. February 4th, we're going to have a planning commission meeting on that date. So, as always, kind of let Barb know, or actually email me as well if you're not going to be here on the February 4th. And I think Paula did a good job the last time, kind of outlining all the bigger projects going on in town, that like the Bricksmore project and Pete's and some of those. So I won't rehash them all this time because I think she did a good job just 2 weeks ago. So that's all I have.
Okay. Thanks, Dan. At this time, we'll move to receive comments from the public. Staff, is there anyone present from the public wishing to speak or comment, or comments that were submitted prior to the meeting from the public?
No comments.
Okay, this is Chairman Gray. Thanks, Barb. We'll move on to adjournment then. If there's nothing further, I will entertain a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
This is Commissioner Aitchison. So moved.
Commissioner Engel, second that motion.
Okay. This is Chairman Gray. Motion made by Commissioner Aitchison, seconded by Commissioner Engel. I will take a voice vote. Anyone opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion is carried. This meeting is adjourned at 7:36 p.m. Okay.
Good night, all.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good job.
Good night.